to the Game Dev Local Podcast. I am your host, Roni Yosko, coming to you to bring you all things indie dev. Joining me today is Fred Hoffman, art director and co-founder at Newfangled Games. Fred and his brother Henry Hoffman created Newfangled Games to create original IPs with emotionally engaging stories, and we're here to talk about their newest game, Paper Trail. It's an award-winning paper-folding indie puzzle game from the point of view of the protagonist, Paige, leaving home to be the first in her family to be offered a place at university. As Paige, you must fold and tear your way through a diverse, populated paper world and meet many characters with interesting stories along the way. Fred, why don't you get us started off by telling us a little bit about yourself, your studio, and your game?
Sure, sure. Hello. Thank you for having me, Ronnie. You've done a very good job of reading my press release back to me. And yeah, so I'm Fred. I'm the co-founder and art director at Newfangled Games, and we've been working on this game, Paper Trail, our debut title, for over 4.5 years now. It feels like 10, but I think it's like 4.5. It's a top-down puzzle adventure game set in a completely foldable paper world where you have all these sheets that are made of paper and can be folded and rotated and flipped and torn to manipulate the world around you and progress and solve puzzles. Yeah.
Cool, very cool. As I was doing some research about your game, and I think I played it at WASD a bit.
Mhm.
Um, I had just remembered that I played your game. I think, were you at like GDC a
Yeah,
couple years back? Yeah,
yeah.
I think
We've
I
been all
played your
over.
game.
Yeah. Hang on, which DDC?
I went to the 2022, I think, right
Yeah.
when they just reopened. Yeah, yeah.
Where did you play it? Because
Um,
we were showcasing Courage, XL, and the Mix.
yes. I think it might have been the Courage XL that
Oh
I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
your game
That's
because
cool.
I was looking and I was just like, this looks, because I remember like playing your game and being like, this is like the
This
best
is.
puzzle game I have played in a while.
Can I get that in writing,
So,
please, so we can put that on the
yeah,
box art?
exactly. Yeah. Put it like as like the title sequence opens, best
Oh yeah.
game. Yep.
Nice. I was trying to work out which particular year you went because there was one year where we were showcasing at GDC where we had a terribly broken build and we were in the hotel room desperately trying to fix it with like four TVs hooked up on the bed, like laying on our floor, sweating, trying to get this build to work. I think you were there the year where we had a good build. I'm surprised they let us
Yeah.
back, to be honest, but yeah, they were
Yeah.
happy.
I mean, it must have gone well. You must have fixed it some in some way.
Yeah, we did. And we were like, this
Could have.
year we won't be doing that. So we just ended up not
Yeah.
showcasing at all, which is the best way to
Yeah.
guarantee that you don't have a broken build. But
Well, maybe you can go to Gamescom once it's all finished, and
we've done,
then
yeah, we did Gamescom as well.
maybe.
We've done,
Oh,
I swear we've been to, it feels like we've been to every event. We're getting to the point now where they're like, come on, guys, that's enough. You've showcased the last 3 years in a row. Are you ever going to release the damn thing? But
well, it seems like you are soon, right? Because
yeah.
it's coming out on the 21st. Is that
21st is
right?
coming out in 13 days, 4 hours, 26 minutes, 4 seconds, 3 seconds,
That's
2
right.
seconds, 1 second. Yeah, crazy.
Uh, yeah, gosh. It's been a journey for sure, I bet. Which actually leads me into my next question.
Okay.
Could you kind of explain the early planning of what the game was like? Like how
Yeah.
did you come up with the solid understanding of the overall game and its mechanics?
Yeah, so it was, well, it's been a journey. It's kind of crazy to look back at some of the very early iterations and see that it's come as far as it has. So originally we had the idea, uh, we were drawing out ideas for puzzle games on stacks of paper, and we had stacks of paper uh, beside either of us. Me and my brother, we were on a Facebook Messenger call, I think, pre-pandemic, just talking about ideas, shooting the shit, thinking about ideas that we could do. Uh, and then one of us picked up a piece of paper and folded it over to use the reverse side and noticed that two of the maps had kind of lined up. I'm like, oh, there might be a mechanic in this. So we got the papers and we started drawing maps on both sides of them, folding them up, and then we were using I think we were using a walnut as a player character, and then moving the nut around, being like, there's legs here. At some point, we went through a few early iterations, so there was a point where it was going to be you have a mini map in your pocket, and you pull the map out, and you fold it up, you crease it up, and you mess it up, and then when you look up from the map, the 3D world in front of you has changed to match the manipulations that you've done to the map. And then when I was like, I'm really bad at 3D art. Let's do a 2D game instead. um, and also Kato announced shortly after that, and that was very much like you do the larger picture stuff and then you go back down into it. So we were like, what if the world was the map? What if the map was the world? And one of the manipulations that you're doing are direct, so you don't have this disconnect between the two kinds of gameplay loops. So
Yeah.
that was how it started, and we spent a decent amount of time putting ideas to paper, no puns intended, before we had any kind of like real decent code behind it. So we wanted to make sure that there was gameplay there before we committed time and resources to fleshing it out. And then once we had found the fun, we spent a bit of time building out prototypes. Very, looking back now, ridiculously bad, janky prototypes, but prototypes nonetheless. Um, and then they were good enough to convince some people to invest in us. And then we were able to get a developer who actually knew what they were doing. No offense, Henry. to build out to build out the paper folding uh, structure underneath,
Yeah.
which turned out to be super complicated in the end, and it was way
Yeah.
beyond our skills. And then it's just been building up from there. So we were like, oh, we've got a functioning prototype now. We can actually build some puzzles, and then, but we're all very much building it quite an insular way for ourselves. And we submitted it to Taipei Game Show, and kind of forgotten that we'd done that. And we got an email in Chinese. We're like, what's this, in our spam folder? And then we translated it, and then it's like, oh, you've won best mobile game. And we're like,
It's a good thing you translated it.
yeah. So
Like, oh, it's spam.
it's like, what the hell is this? But there was that was like the moment that we realized that this had real potential beyond just ourselves to be something interesting. That people were like, oh, this is good. We vibe with it. It's like, that's a
Yeah.
relief. That's good. So yeah,
Yeah.
piece by piece.
That's very cool. Yeah. The story about the Chinese letter, that's just hilarious to me. Like
Yeah.
I would have absolutely just ignored it. Well, delete.
Delete.
I just yeah, you mentioned that you brought another developer on. I think I read somewhere that on another interview of yours that what he's from Mexico and then you guys
Yes,
brought
yeah,
him
yeah.
over to the UK.
Yep, yeah, that's right. So Gonzalo was Henry had quite a lot of connections with Mexico anyway. He'd lived out there for a while. One of his best friends is a game developer out there, and uh, he put us onto this amazing genius wizard, code wizard, living, yeah, exactly, living in Mexico City. Um, and we reached out and asked for if he had an idea for a solution to this conniving problem that we had, and he came up with something really quickly, really elegant, and we were like, "This is amazing." So we hired him, and then we sponsored his visa and got him over to the UK, and he's been working with us ever since. Went from 3 days a week to 5 days a week to full time,
Yeah.
indispensable.
Nice. Yeah,
So
how big's your studio now? Is it just the three of you still, or have you brought more
so
people on?
it's a core of, I always get this wrong, depending on how you slice the pie. It's a core of four. I think that's right. Core of four,
Four,
core of
four.
five, 4 or 5 kind of range. It's
Right.
again. So it started off. It was just me and my brother, and then we got the developer on board. I'm pretty sure my math holds up, and that's 3. Uh, and then we got production involved, which took us up to 4, which is good because we needed whipping into shape. And then we took on our junior, who quickly also became indispensable, and that was 5. So yeah, core of 5.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. The junior was
How is,
no,
oh no, you go. Yeah.
the junior was our junior developer Kyle was uh, an absolute godsend. So we ran an internship program with the local university, and he came on really enthusiastic. Uh, Very talented, very creative, had lots of ideas. And because we're a small studio, he was able to have a lot of ownership over those ideas as well, and a lot of free reign. So a lot of his ideas for content ended up in the full game. A lot of his suggestions for puzzle design, a lot of his puzzle designs, just loads. He had loads of input into uh, a lot of the game. I would say is his. But it's just really nice to be able to offer that to someone fresh out of university to have like
Yeah.
such an amazing position straight away. And then yeah, so he had the internship and then was immediately hired straight away. I was like, don't go anywhere, stay here, please, please, we need you. There was a moment before we did the internship program. We were like, oh, we don't know if we've really got time to be like spending on training people up and everything. We're so busy. And then we were like, how the hell did we think we were ever going to release without the extra help? So yeah, that was good. Bit of advice,
Yeah.
get the help.
Yeah, and sometimes in whenever you do like those internship stuff, you can find really good gems of people just
Yeah,
like fresh out of uni, lots and lots and lots of ideas,
yeah.
not tainted by the
Not
industry just
cynical.
yet.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah,
think that was it. Like they're just
exactly.
like really, really bright-eyed and just like optimistic and
Yeah.
has like really just like has nice ideas. I think like a really good example of that was we got he wanted to have his partner's cat in the game. We're like,
Oh.
we've got all these levels to finish. We've got loads of art to do. Look at all these bugs. We can't prioritize putting a damn cat in the game. And then he was like, did it. It was like, I'm just gonna put it in my spare time. We're like, fine, that's fine. And then it was like one of like the most requested features and one of the most loved parts of the game. It's like it's like the happy creativity, the happy optimism to just go
Yeah.
do things for the love of it, which
Yeah.
is nice to have. He's good. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
I hope you're listening,
Good boy.
Kyle.
Oh, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how was it creating your own game studio from scratch? I mean, what yeah, I see, you can see the the war flashes
I don't
going on in
know.
your head right now.
Yeah. Well, getting money was really hard. That was long.
Mm,
And you have to get money first before you can really start making things, because that's like just the order of service a lot of the time. And going through finance and doing SEIS, advanced assurance, and all that kind of stuff is very different to making games, right? So
yeah,
you have to
yeah,
you have like a long period of perseverance, being like, I will at the end of
yeah,
this, I bet we will make video games. It will happen. So you get through that, and that's fine.
yeah,
But I think the studio's grown quite gradually, and become more and more professional over time. So it's kind of funny. We went from being just like two brothers pissing around in a basement in Brixton to having a very serious studio that's signed deals with Netflix. It's like those things happen incrementally, and it's quite surreal. But yeah, no, it's been a journey. It's been a trip. I wouldn't
yeah,
I wouldn't not do it again.
yeah, yeah. I want to get hit on 2 points there. While you were speaking, I was just picturing. I don't know if you know the Nicolas Cage, the what his newest movie, or not newest movie, second newest movie with Pedro Pascal. You know the one I'm talking about? I
Oh, I
can't
know the
remember
one you
the.
mean. This is one of the meme with them in the car, and
Yeah,
he's
the
doing
meme.
this.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like you guys as Nicolas Cage being like all hardened, war hardened, and then your intern slash new hire just being like,
Yeah.
yay! But what were the inspirations for coming up with the idea of Paper Trail outside of obviously the foldable paper? But obviously, there's got to be some kind of game,
Yeah.
games you've been inspired from.
I've heard of games. I've played games before.
Me too.
Yeah. There's this new media form which I really don't think is going to take off. Uh, yeah, so a lot of I think so from like a game design perspective, we always really liked puzzle games with like a really strong, unique hook. Um, Gorogoa is like probably the big one, which I think of. Things that are very like meditative, artistic puzzly, but also kind of challenge your conceptions about what a game can be and about what gameplay can be in like a very satisfying way. I always wanted to make
Yeah.
something which you could show somebody a GIF of and they'd get it. So something that doesn't require like 5 paragraphs of exposition. I don't care what the high elves are doing on the border of the Atlantic Ocean or anything. I want to be able to like look
Go
at,
away.
yeah, exactly. Piss off.
Go away, Warhammer and
Yeah,
what is it,
yeah,
Final Fantasy crew, get out of here.
yeah. This is a call. This is a direct call out to you, Warhammer. Fight me. I'll be outside Sainsbury's at 6 p.m. Uh, no, I've always wanted to do things that are like that give you that kind of like aha moment where you see it and you're like, oh,
Mm,
damn. I like games that
yeah.
make you feel like, why didn't I think of that? Viewfinder was a big one. I saw the demo for the Viewfinder drop. I was like, God damn it, why didn't I think of that? That's so cool. So that kind of like not spite, but like but kind of like very captivating, mechanically
Yeah.
driven puzzle games. They're the kind of things that really got me going. And then visually, all sorts of things visually, not just games visually, but film and all sorts as well. But I think my favorite visually, my favorite game would have been Wind Waker with like
Mm,
just like the colors,
yes.
just like how like all the colors are like allowed their own room to be as bright and bold and fun
Yeah.
and happy and colorful as you like. So a lot of the design process for Paper Trail started off as colors before anything else, just like blocks of color next to each other in relations to each other. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that actually leads me into this question really nicely too. But what was the kind of vibe for going for watercolor art style? Like why watercolor versus something else?
Well, there's a very like boring basic reason for that, and there's a more interesting reason. I'll start with the boring one.
Yes.
Because it's a game based on a world made of sheets of paper, you want a
Mm,
medium that has the texture of paper in it. And because watercolor sits within the surface of paper rather than obscuring it, then you get this wonderful paper texture come through. If you do acrylic or oil or whatever over it, it obscures the paper texture and you lose the essential paperiness of it. So it's one of the more papery mediums which you can use. And then the other more interesting answer is that my background isn't in game design, my background is in textiles.
oh,
And I used to work in print and industrial print design stuff like that, making pattern designs. And my favorite way of working was working with sublimation print, which sits within the surface of the fabric in much the same way that the colors sit within the surface of the paper. So a lot of those ways of working and ways of laying out colors and textures comes from my background in print design.
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
How has it been like transferring those skills, I suppose, your background into making a game? Was it a lot of, I'm assuming you had professional, what is it, schooling,
schooling
or was it just
makes
all?
makes it sound like I went to finishing school. Uh, those ones where they make you walk around with plates on your head. Uh, yeah, no,
Learn
I
proper
had, I had,
manners
I had
in the game
professional,
industry.
I had professional schooling. I wasn't a filthy amateur just brought in off the streets. I no, yeah, I studied illustration and then specialized in textile and animation, which is a really weird combination. I was trying
Okay.
to make myself as unemployable as possible, um, and ended up with a job anyway, so it didn't work.
Oh goodness. And then you added games on top of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Fortunately,
and
it worked out.
it did work out. So it was weird. There were some really unexpected crossovers from textile design into game design that I was not expecting, which was actually
Mm,
really helpful. So a lot of the game is made out of tile sets and sprites, and the way that the tile sets are designed is that they have to perfectly tessellate with one another in different rotations and things like that, because the game can be rotated and flipped around, and those paths need to line up and make sense in any orientation. And that process of designing those tiles with symmetrical tessellation is very similar to how you do repeating pattern designs a la William Morris kind of stuff. So that method of working was actually really helpful. So I was able to do very intricate textured tile maps that I probably wouldn't have been able to do without my background in textiles. So
Cool.
yeah,
That's really, really cool.
carried over.
Yeah. Yeah. Little some knowledge
Yeah,
as well, some background
there you go.
knowledge for the game.
Right?
Cool, yeah. What was your favorite bit, I guess? Because you have all your pot or hands in all the pots of like all the art disciplines going on in the game, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
yeah.
the correct way
So
to say that. What's your
I got all
what's
my
your
I
favorite
got
and what's your least? All
all my
your
hands in all the paint
fingers,
pots.
I guess. All the
That's the
paint.
one. Yeah, yeah. All the creativity pies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite, I don't know, I think my favorite was also the hardest. I think like the
Mm,
challenging part, which is the concept design stuff. So having to do the concepts for like the original like the sketches of getting the ideas of what an environment is going to be like down. That's really satisfying because you're working fast and you're iterating on ideas and you're saying no to lots of things and you're saying yes to some things and you're just producing lots and lots and lots and lots of work and it's none of it's very technical. And that was all really fun and quite hard, right? So there's a lot of things that have to work. It's not just making a world look pretty. It has to be legible and readable and functional, and it has to work well with the UI, and it has to work well with the mechanics, and the mechanics need to have their visuals designed, and those also need to feel like they're integrated into the environment and all of that. So there's lots of things to consider. But in the early stages, you're just like what if it was snow-capped roofs? What if we were doing palm trees submerged in pink water? What if it was, or whatever? And it's just like
yeah.
wild creativity, freedom. That was all really, really fun. But then it comes time to actually like do like the technical stuff and like take your wild ideas and then be like, how do I make these into tile sets? How do I make these into modular assets? How do I do all of that? So yeah, the wild early creative stuff I really enjoyed. But then
Yeah.
and then I think the other thing which I really that was very satisfying was getting technical art in and then seeing like the pieces come to life. So I was just working with flat JPEGs in Photoshop, and then we get them in, we apply the shaders that we'd designed to various things, and then suddenly we've got flickering leaves like they're flip books and shadows that are like dancing across the ground and weather effects in. So seeing things go from like flat flat dull JPEGs to living, breathing scenes is really satisfying. Yeah, yeah.
Very
That's
cool.
my favorite. That's quite a lot of answers. I liked all of it.
Yeah, it is. There was like,
I just like doing what I just like it. I like making
just
art for
like
games.
making
It's a
games.
cool job.
Just
It's a
games is
cool job.
cool. It is a cool
Games are
job. It's a
cool.
very cool job.
This new medium,
Um,
it's got legs.
yeah. What? So did you? Is this like the first game you guys have made, or have you worked in another
It's definitely
company
the
and
last.
you? Uh,
Uh, yeah, no, sorry. I worked on Hue previously, so I
oh,
was
did you? My
yeah, yeah.
studio worked on that game as well.
Oh, yours, you. Has
Yeah,
everyone
because
worked on
you.
Hue?
Well, there's voiceover, a tiny bit of voiceover, I think, in
There is.
Hue,
Yeah, yeah. And
and
acting.
yeah, our studio recorded that.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, shout out for that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Shout out Hugh. Shout out
oh
Anna Acton.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's a small world. Yes, so I did a little bit of asset design stuff on that. I was at university then. That was my first little foray into it. Um, but yeah, this is very different. This is art direction, start to end, everything. That was
yeah.
Hugh was like, I think I was there for 6 weeks. Um, this has
You
been
were like,
five
do
years.
this, do that, and you're like, why? I don't care,
I
doing
don't
it
know.
anyway.
Easy. And Hugh was like black shapes, right? So
Yeah,
it's flat
yeah,
black color, no color worrying, and like very like straightforward guidelines of cutout shapes. This has been
yeah,
fully colored, fully textured, everything, fronts and backs. I think it's yeah, it's a lot because we had a
yeah.
moment where we were we added a map of the reverse function where you're able to right click and then flip the paper and see the reverse. Previously, you could only see the bits which you could fold over, so all the maps of the reverse were like pretty ugly and have not been like done with consideration to composition and layout and things like that. So we added this map of the reverse feature to 130 levels, and suddenly all of them have ugly backs, and then they all need dressing and making pretty. It's like when you're sewing and you have the front side of like the embroidery, and then you turn it over and you've got the mess on the back. And I was like,
You're like,
that's
ah,
oh,
ah, ah,
oh my God, turn it back, turn
ah.
it back.
So I guess you didn't, did you have like some kind of idea of what it would be like to jump in and do your, oh, no, that answer's no. No, what was the, can I ask what the biggest surprise was then, I suppose? Like, what was the thing where you were like, come on?
Come on. How? I think how long? Just the length, right? It's like I remember
Um,
we were like, all right, guys, quick project, 18 months. We'll be back in time for tea. Definitely no feature creep. Like, all right, it'll be fine. Make $1 million, retire,
famous last words.
easy peasy. Yeah. It's like
Sounds like a
it's that
heist.
scene in Rick and Morty where it's like 4.5 years later, and it's like, oh my God, kill me. Yeah, so that was unexpected. But the other thing
Hmm.
was scope has grown, right? As we found out that people are interested in it, we and as we've it's a bit of sunk cost, as we've sunk more time into it, we've wanted to make it better and do more. So we've got like a full original soundtrack. We added a whole narrative to it. We've got like a whole illustrated storybook in there, and we've added loads, and we've added loads of characters and character animations and little one-off events, and it's just we've had the chance to like really put a lot of sparkle into it, which has been really nice. That's nice.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice, really dialed in.
Yeah.
Was there any like iteration, like for instance, some of the early days at like GDC, for instance, where the build is broken, where you've had like a certain kind of puzzle that you've just completely reworked because
Oh
you're
yeah.
like, it's just not
Oh yeah.
working. These people are just
Whole
not getting
worlds.
it.
Whole worlds. Whole
Really?
environments. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
We had the ocean environment, which went through playtesting about
Mm.
18 months ago now, I think, and we were like, oh my Lord, and just remade the entire world. Introduced. It was lacking a new. Every environment has like a new mechanic to keep the puzzling fresh throughout every world. And the new mechanic that we'd introduced in Ocean was stairs, and and it's quite late in the game, and it's like that alone is not particularly thrilling. Like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
stairs! Wow. So we do introduce stairs in Ocean now, but we also introduce lasers and reflections and all sorts of
Ah,
other cool stuff.
way
So
more
that's
exciting.
way more exciting. So like that was a big one. And then in our very, 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 very first draft, very first demo, like the first tutorial world you have had loads of superfluous levels in it that were just
Mm.
like to explore, go look around. We thought we would love a little bit of open world exploration, but what that meant was that everyone was like, "What am I doing? Where am I supposed to be going? What's the purpose of this piece of paper on the top left?" And like, it's there for aesthetics. And like, but what does it? What purpose does it serve? So people were just like wandering around for 40 minutes, being like, "I don't know where I'm going, or what I'm doing, or why I'm here." I think there's been a lot of trimming and focusing on like the core.
Right.
That's been a big change.
Mm. Can I ask why you guys went with a female protagonist versus like, did you make the choice coherently with together? Like, we're gonna do a female, we're gonna just put the female in the game, or was it just like,
We're
this makes
gonna
sense, we'll just roll with it?
we're gonna make up for 40 years of bad industry practice. We don't worry, guys. We fixed it. We've done it.
We fixed it. We fixed the game industry. Sexism
Feminism
doesn't exist
complete.
anymore. Woo!
Yeah, we thought that it was time for two men to step up.
thought you were gonna go into something actually serious there for a second.
No. Um, I don't know. It was always a girl in even very, very early iterations. We liked, I think there's a lot of inspiration from Ghibli films where there's often
Mm,
a strong female lead, especially a child leaving home. I think
yeah,
there was something quite poignant about that. Something quite poignant about leaving the confines of your village to go and make a life for yourself and make a future for yourself, especially one that isn't about getting a husband and having kids. It's about
yeah.
going to
Oh,
university and
education.
education. It's the only way out. Yeah, I don't think there wasn't really like a sit down. We need to it was just felt right. It was just like I think it was the natural thing to do.
Yeah,
And then there's a even lamer reason, if you want the lame reason as well.
I would like the lame
You
reason,
want the
yes.
lame reason? It's because her name is
Yes.
Paige, and it's a great paper pun, right?
Oh, I just got that. Oh, I feel ridiculous for just getting that.
You know what her, do
Wow,
you know
that's pretty good.
you know what her last name is?
I'm Turner.
It is Turner. It is, and that's like an Easter egg which you only find in the game because there's a letter which is addressed to her. If you check the address on the letter, it says to Mr. and Mrs. Turner. So you can put it together and find
Amazing.
out what her whole name is. Well, or you can just listen to
Amazing.
this podcast and have it spoiled for you for free.
It's true. I do love a very dumb pun.
Good.
That is that is
Ah,
my bread and
you're
butter.
that's good. You're in the right place because we had to write. How many did we have to write? 40 stupid paper puns for all the achievements on all the consoles and Steam and stuff. That took so long. We were expecting to be like, oh, we just need to write 40 paper puns. That'll be easy. How long could it take? 3 weeks later. We can't use the word fold for the 46th time in a row. Not every single word can just be a normal saying with the word paper like shoved in there. It took ages. And then we send it all off to localization for 13 languages, and we're like, good luck. Good luck.
Oh, goodness.
Oh
I didn't
dear.
even think about the localization. Yeah, so how many languages? 13 you said, or
13.
is that,
It's just
wow.
it's just 13 different dialects of English. So we've got Liverpool, Newcastle.
Shut up.
Yeah. What are they all? I can't remember them all now. There's a lot. I'll get it up on my Steam page. I'll check. Hold music, please.
Do 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 do
This
do.
is terrible hold music.
It's totally
Sorry.
out of time as well.
Yeah, completely, really weird bebop, hard jazz. Right, so English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, Latin American Portuguese, traditional Chinese, Polish, Spanish for Latin America, Turkish, and simplified Chinese. So loads.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
pretty cool.
impressive. Especially for was that do you guys have a publisher? Is that
All
are you
self-published.
self-published?
Yeah, self-publishing. We've been
Published.
using Lionbridge for our localizing, and they are
Wow.
delightful.
So you just like hand it off to them and you're like,
Good luck.
good luck.
Especially puns, right? I feel like
Good
puns
luck
in
to
pun.
us until it's done.
Yeah, exactly. I can't assess how good the Korean translation of my paper puns are. I just gotta go on blind faith.
Oh goodness.
But yeah, I think puns and humor, they're the hardest things, right? To
Yeah.
definitely. I
Especially
think,
translating.
yeah, I think I think my favorite pun that we got in there was when you complete the swamp environment, it's snakes on a non-Euclidean plane was the pun, and that is out there, very out there.
I would love to see what the
Then-
translated
Oh
version
yeah, what the hell are
is.
they
I
gonna do? Also, why is snakes on a
mean,
plane even a reference
I
in
feel
in
like
this?
I feel like if I was in your shoes, I would have already taken the Japanese or Korean and just like retranslated it into Google Translate just to see the like
You're not
hilarity
gonna
of
know.
or
You're not
you're
gonna
like
know,
no
are
no
you? I don't know. I feel like we should do a version where we run the translations back through and then put them in as the official ones. This is gonna make no sense.
I feel like for every localization, you should just run it through Google Translate about 4 times and then just go with whatever
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
out. I think that
Hot,
would
yeah,
make a
that
lot of sense.
there we
Yeah.
go. That's a hot
Save you a
tip.
lot of money as well.
Yeah, hot
Yeah.
tip for any indie developers listening. You don't need localization. Just run it through Google Translate six times.
Run it through Google
Don't
Translate.
do that. That's that was ironic. Don't interrupt my word.
Speaking of advice for new indie developers, what
Mhm.
kind of, after going through all of these trials of being a new developer, would you give to, what kind of advice would you give to an indie developer starting up a company right now?
Ooh. Work with people you like, or work with your family. So it doesn't matter if you like them or not.
Doesn't matter if you yell at them all the time.
Yeah,
Did it
exactly.
anyway when you were a kid.
Exactly.
You'll just get over it.
There's a higher power you can appeal to. Mom.
Mom! Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, pick people to work with who you can get along with. That's really important because you're going to
Yeah,
think that it's only going to be a year and a half, but it will be 5. Sorry.
that's very true. Yeah. I feel like
Um,
that's true for starting like any business as
yeah,
well in general.
yeah,
Out
yeah,
there.
definitely,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. Test early, like test, get people playing it. Um, you don't want to spend 2 years making something which nobody finds very fun, and then only find out once you show it to your friend, and they're like, "What is this? Why have you done this?"
It's my heart and soul. Here, take care of
Ugh,
it.
ugh,
Ugh.
yeah. I don't feel. I still feel like I've got quite imposter syndrome. I don't feel like I'm in a position to be
Mm.
giving advice because I can't code, right? If you can't code, then you have no right to talk about how to make
You
games,
basically don't have a job in the
right?
industry.
Exactly.
Goodbye. Why am I talking to you? Goodbye. I'm
Exactly. All
hanging up the
right.
call now.
Clearly, just a personality hire.
Yeah. Oh goodness. But yeah, speaking of like working with your brother, actually, how was it like finding each of your roles in the development? Was it pretty easy? Did you guys have just like he went to school for engineering and you went to school for art and
Yeah,
you brought the two minds together?
there's definitely quite a bit of that. So there was he's got a background in game design. He's an industry veteran. He's that makes him sound like he's 70. Uh, he's been in the industry for 15 years. I think
Just
he's
see a cane coming
yeah.
across
Oh
the screen
God,
and whacking your
right there. Oh God, no.
head.
He's already feel like he's worked 15 years in the last 2 weeks. Um,
Yeah, fair enough.
yes, but no, but he's yeah, accomplished game developer. He's been doing it for a long time. And so his roles are like uh, big picture stuff, game development, game design. Uh, he's got a good jack of all trades kind of traits where he can do coding and he can do art, so he can communicate. He's good at communicating between the two professions. It's like Dr. Dolittle with the rhinoceros art person on one side and the raccoon developer on the other. We can talk to them and intermediate. Um, but yeah, and then from my perspective was yeah, it was always art stuff, art stuff, art stuff. That was always very much the the thing. But then we've also had to take on things which neither of us have ever done before. We have to do lots of press, lots of talking to people, lots of biz dev,
Hmm.
lots of going to events, showcasing, and meeting people, shaking hands, and greasing palms. Is that the thing?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, yeah,
greasing,
yeah, yeah.
greasing palms. Ugh.
Yeah, you'll grease the
Ugh.
palm and then you do the handshake. Is that not?
You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
you grease the palm before the handshake, or is the handshake how the palms get greased in the first place? I don't know. Clearly,
I think the latter
clearly,
maybe.
clearly, neither of us have much background, professional training in palm greasing, because I obviously don't know what the correct.
Regrettable.
Yeah, exactly. Went to art school instead of palm school. But yes, so yeah, we've definitely got our roles, but there's little bits of overlap there for um, business and press and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Um, do you think that you guys, well, seeing as this is your last project, I don't think that this question really applies to you, but I'll ask it anyway. Um, what kind of things would you do a lot differently in your next project, do you think,
I think,
now that you've got this one
yeah,
down?
I think we've learned a lot. This past year, we've learned a lot. Learned a lot, a lot, a lot. Learned a lot about publishing because we're self-publishing. I think
Mm.
that's been like a really steep learning curve, um, in terms of like storefront certification and game certification and all that process. So I think for the next game, we'd have a much better handle on that going into it. Um, Creatively, though, I feel like um, I like the idea of jumping back in again to those early stages where everything is fluid and everything is quite chaotic. Quite, I'm not sure if that's rose-tinted retrospect or if that's actually the case where it was really enjoyable, or maybe it was just really stressful. Who knows? But I like the idea of getting back into early stages on a project and being able to try things out and being free to fail and things like that. That's fun. Um, other lessons learned that I would take through. I think we'd test earlier. I think we'd get people playing
Mm.
levels earlier. We definitely had this thing where we were designing for ourselves in the beginning, and if we'd come up with an interesting new way of using a mechanic that hadn't been used before, and you could explain why it was interesting, but someone playing it was just like, this is frustrating. You can't be like, no, no, you're not allowed to be frustrated. It's actually interesting. Look,
Read the
look,
tutorial.
look how
Look,
interesting it is. Are you dumb? What the hell? It's
it's in the
really
fine
interesting.
print. You signed it.
Yeah. So, um, so yeah, getting players involved earlier and being like not just being insular with the design process, I think
Hmm.
would be good for next game. We do have plans for the next game. We've received a grant from the UK Games Fund content grant. So we're kind of ready to get back into it and start prototyping. We've got some
Yeah.
ideas which I can't talk about.
Is there going to be
Um,
a dog in this one this
so many
time,
dogs.
or?
So it's actually like Doom,
I
but
expect
at an animal sanctuary.
no less than 113. Okay,
Dogs
no less, not
per,
one less.
per scene.
Per scene,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like a bullet hell,
Now we're thinking
but
of
with pugs.
something. Yes.
It's VR.
Should bring me on for your
Yeah,
idea
wow.
for.
This game just writes itself. Incredible. But yeah, going back into the like mechanically driven puzzle genre, but also with more kind of open world elements to entice people who wouldn't necessarily normally play hardcore puzzle games into the genre. We want to expand the
Yeah,
genre and get more people into it. I think like
yeah,
Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and things like that did a really, really good job of tricking people into playing a puzzle game.
it's true. Yeah. Puzzle games are probably one of my favorite games in the world. I think my first ever game that I played was Nancy Drew,
Oh yeah,
which was very difficult for a child
yeah,
of my age to play.
yeah. Very
But I was just
literary.
like, I had like a little notebook, and I was like writing down
Uh,
all like the notes and everything. Whenever even like things that like probably didn't even need to be written down, I'd be like, yes, I'm
so
an
yeah,
investigator.
this is
I'm
going to be
writing it down.
important later.
Red shirt woman. Yes.
Mm. That's nice.
Yes.
You don't see that often anymore. People taking physical notes for
Yeah.
games. That was something I really liked
Yeah.
about the original Monkey Island series, where you'd be like trying to make connections and writing notes and things like that. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. I think recently me and my best friend are playing the We Were Here Together series,
Hmm.
and we've had to write notes. I don't know if you're a fan of the game or have played it at
I'm
all,
not.
but
I'm just nodding, but I'm like, I don't know what
oh,
that is.
if you like puzzles, you and your brother should probably play this game because it is very good. You might have some inspirations come out of it.
Okay,
Who knows?
okay.
But yeah, they've got really, really good puzzles in the game, especially in their last big release,
What
the
kind
fourth
of
game.
what kind of puzzles are they? Are they kind of combine
So yeah, for
clues together?
anyone, Yeah, so just as well for anyone on listening who doesn't know what the We Were Here Together series is, it's where you play as you and someone else. You are both separated in like a scene, a castle, a room, just separated from each other. Neither one of you can see what the other is seeing, and with you have to communicate through the power of communication, friendship, and trust. You must combine your powers and what you see to solve puzzles. But yeah, it's very fun, very funny. It's kind of sort of like a Portal in a way. Sometimes you can kill the other person
That sounds fun.
unintentionally as well.
Unintentionally.
Unintentionally,
Oh
yes.
no. Oh, oops.
um, I've had so many instances where my friend goes, Ronnie, are you sure that there's no other puzzle piece in the room with you? And I'm like, pretty sure there isn't. I like walk around behind a corner. Oh, look at
Oh,
all of
oh
this
dear.
stuff. That makes so much
Oh my
sense.
God, I
Yeah.
can't believe you died again. This sounds like a skill
Oh,
issue.
sounds like a you
Sounds like
problem,
a you problem. Oh,
not a
that
me
sounds really
problem.
cool. I like the
Yeah.
collaborative thing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We've had a lot of people be like, "So, have you considered making Paper Trail multiplayer?" I'm like, "I don't know. Have you considered giving us £10 million to make that happen?"
1 million pounds, thank you. Um, yeah, no, I love co-op puzzle games because I feel
Yeah.
like there's not a lot out there. When you
There's-
have a long distance like friendship
mhm,
or any kind of relationship, you tend to try and find those things to play
yeah.
with other people, and they're just it's such a small market.
Yeah, they.
Yeah.
I guess It Takes Two.
Yeah,
Was like the breakout.
yeah,
For that. That's a great game.
yeah.
Not
It is a great game.
the
Yeah.
elephant scene though. It haunts me.
Let them find out. Let them
I'm
find
not
out.
gonna say anything.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Go and play
oh,
it. It's a lovely,
it's a lovely
friendly,
game.
innocent
Nothing bad
game.
happens.
Nothing bad happens.
I would never trust a game that
I'm
says
still
nothing
talking
bad
about.
happens.
I still think about the first boss fight. I don't know. Versus with the vacuum. Anyways,
Anyway,
but yeah, there's quite a few I think out there. Ibn Ob is another one that comes to
mhm.
mind. It's really I don't know if it's very well known, but it's probably one of up there with one of my favorite co-op puzzle games, platformer. And yeah, Portal obviously will go down in
Yeah, that's the
history.
one, isn't it? That's the big boy.
Yeah, yeah, the big boy.
The big
Yeah.
boy. The one
Damn
that
you, Valve!
W Valve.
Uh, yes. What kind of games do you guys play? What's your favorite game?
We mostly just play test the game which we are currently making.
Oh, pop out answer. I appreciate it.
I mean, being honest, I think the only game that I've got hours on Steam currently is uh, Paper Trail Beta, Paper Trail Demo, Paper Trail definitely final release version 6. But then outside of that, what have I been playing? I played Chances to Now. I had a flight to San
Hmm,
Francisco, and I was like, I'm gonna download some puzzle games. I'm gonna download the competition, see who they are. Chances to Now was great. That was really good. That's probably my favorite game I've played in a while.
yeah,
There's a lot I want to play. Dredge was really good. That was really
Dredge is really good.
Dredge was really
Dredge
fun.
is like such a good game where my partner was playing this and I was watching him play it, and it was like so lovely and calm, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Oh, this is
nice. This is
nice.
oh, now I'm stressed.
Nothing bad
I am
happens.
stressed. I'm very stressed now. Why
Yeah.
am I so
Yeah.
stressed? Yeah, it's really good. I agree.
Yeah, that was really good. It's funny. I don't tend to play that many puzzle games now. I think because
Mm.
you spend too long making one,
Yeah.
you start to see them in like the design mindset of being instead of like being losing yourself in it and enjoying it, start picking it apart and being like, I can see why they've done this, or oh, this is a moment where they teach you the interaction between two mechanics, And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
just play the game, Fred. Just enjoy yourself. Let it go. Chances are it's like very polished and like just really the way like the way the gameplay was divulged, she was really really solid. And then Inside as well. This is a weird mix of games.
Inside, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
Inside's good.
the way that again,
Yeah.
the way the rules of the world are like divulged to you through
Yeah.
trial and error. It was really satisfying, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus the
Um,
soundtrack to the game is really nice as
oh, it
well.
is. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those, but in terms of ones that like shaped me, I had a GameCube growing up, and I had like 5 games on it, and it was like those 5 games in rotation. So it was Simpsons Hit and Run, which is just in perfect. No game has topped that since.
I can
It's
understand.
literally the entire industry peaked in 2006 or whenever it was when that game came out, and it's all been downhill since then. Um, yeah, this the original Spider-Man game, but no, it was
Hmm.
all Tears of the Kingdom, not Tears of the Kingdom, Wind Waker.
Wow.
Wow, we got an early access.
Time traveler.
It's been in development for 30 years.
Just sending this random kid this new IP never before seen, new
Didn't,
technology.
didn't do anything with it. Well, waste.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, all sorts.
Wind Waker is always going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for like a
Um.
young arty boy. The other thing was that
Yeah.
I used to play games that in ways which they weren't meant to be played, which I used to really enjoy. So I used to play Tony Hawk's, and what we do with my friends, and we'd take it in turns to split screen, and we go into find a wall, clip the camera into the wall, and play hide and seek. So one person would have their back
Ah.
turned, and you'd run around, find a place to hide, clip the camera into the wall, and then they'd have to try and find you. So like that was fun. I used to like finding games within games that weren't like the correct way to play it.
Yeah. Sounds like a QA tester was
Oh my
born.
gosh, I didn't even realize I was destined for QA from the age of 8.
Yeah, my favorite thing, I think we did some stuff similar in Halo Reach.
Mhm.
'Cause that game had just such good multiplayer functionalities that there was just so many games to be had that you could just make up in there. But
Yeah,
yeah, my favorite thing to do in a game is like I'm just like I don't want to know any of the controls. Don't give me a tutorial. I'll figure it
yeah,
out by myself and I'll just press all the buttons
yeah.
and like go to every single corner and see what's what. Yeah.
That's good. I
Yeah.
like doing that with fighting games where you have no idea what any of the buttons do, and you're just like rolling your face over the controller, and then like, oh my God, he did a flip. How did he do a flip? And then you're like trying to work out what it was that you did to make him do a flip, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that kind of old
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. Working it out,
Yeah,
making
exactly.
notes once again.
Yeah, yeah. Back when players had attention spans. Now they need tutorials and
Now they have the internet.
yeah, they got the internet. It's ruined a generation of gamers.
Ah! Oh man. Well, it's been really lovely talking to you, Fred. I have to
Likewise,
say.
it's been fun.
I don't think after this conversation, I also have to admit that I don't know if it's the end for games. I think maybe games will endure for years to
Maybe.
come, actually. I think we
But
should all start investing in Nintendo and this
yeah,
new thing called
no, no,
EA and Sony.
smaller companies. I've heard Newfangled Games is
Yeah.
floating on the New York stock market any day now.
So my last question to you is, what's your next step for the studio and yourself, and anything else you'd like to share with the audience, where they can find you on Twitter, social medias?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. So yeah, we're going to launch. We're going to get out. We are going to launch. Step one, launch. We are going to launch
The
daily
final,
affirmation.
final, really
Final,
final
final,
game
final.
is
Daily
being launched.
affirmations. I keep waking up every morning saying in front of the mirror, "You are going to launch. You will launch." So that's step one. We're going to take a bit of a holiday, I think.
Hmm.
Everyone's going to Japan for a holiday after we launch
Oh.
all together, which is pretty cool. And then get back into prototyping. I think that's gonna be really fun. We've got a bit of runway to experiment and build new exciting things. We want to scale up. We're moving into 3D for the next game, so we're gonna gently increase the scale of the studio. Yeah, really exciting things on the future, on the horizon. Um, yeah, very exciting. So I guess the final things to say is that it's only 13 days till it comes out, so keep your eyes peeled on all
Which will
storefronts.
be,
Yeah, we're
yeah,
launching on everything: Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, PC. Um, yeah, May 21st.
yeah,
Mark
May
mark the
21st.
date. We will
Mark
release.
the calendars.
We
We
will
will be sending
release.
each of you a Google Calendar invite to download the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Prepare your inbox.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a Game Dev local
Woo,
podcast. Woo!
woo, local.
And we will catch you next time.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.